Hello, welcome to Behind the Data with CloverDX. I'm your host, Matthew Stibber, and today I'm with Todd Schnirel and Jennifer McCalicher from Airline Hydraulics. And we're going to be talking about how they use data in their organization and some of the challenges that they've overcome. Todd, Jennifer, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks
you
for having us.
So let's start by learning a little bit about Airline Hydraulics. Tell me what you do.
We're a value-add distributor. We've been in business. This is actually our 75th year, so our 75th anniversary this year. So we've been around for a little while, seen a lot of changes in the industry, but our primary functions are distributing high-quality products to factory and mobile automation customers, and then doing value-added work for those customers to put those products together in a meaningful way to help the customers enhance their systems or get their products to market faster.
Amazing. And it's not just for airlines anymore, is it?
No. Actually, airline is air in a tube, which when we started, it was our founder was selling air tools to the manufacturing facilities in Philadelphia after World War II, and selling, literal air in a tube. So thus airline. So that's the airline, not the airplane. So we get that a lot, but it is the airline that goes into a factory, not the airline that goes into the air.
Thank you for clearing that up. That's really useful to know. Okay, so Jennifer, I'm thinking here about the business. You've seen the film The Matrix, and at some point the real physical world turns into ones and zeros and into data. Tell me a little bit about your world of data. Where does data come from? Where does it go to? How does it flow through Airline?
Yeah, so we get data directly from our suppliers, which at this point I think we're over 250, 280 plus suppliers. We also get data directly from our customers, and we get it in various methods. Some of it even comes from our sales team as well. We'll get it through email. Some of it is, we actually have to go to the FTP sites to get the data. Some of it is transferred to us, it's like an API that we may have. And the data comes in all different types of forms. Some of it's text files, some of it's just raw data. Some of it is, maybe JSON files. So it comes to us in all different shapes, sizes. Some of it, some of our suppliers are very small. They're still like the little mom and pop shops down the street that only have a couple hundred SKUs. And we have some suppliers that have close to 1 million SKUs. So I think our database in total right now is over 3 million SKUs that we manage in our database.
3 million SKUs. Mm-hmm. And the video on your website shows an amazing warehouse with $12 million worth of stock. So I'm assuming a lot of this is product information, inventory information, and that sort of thing from different people's managing supply chains in and out of the business, right?
Yeah. So most of the data that my team manages every single day is more on the making sure the item numbers are correct, making sure descriptions are correct, along with pricing, unit measures, sizing. We get into weights and things like that because we do have as you saw, a very extensive website where our customers can come on and place an order. And, we try to get as much information as we have up front so that they know what kind of product they're getting and making sure it's the right product. So yes, that video encompasses a lot of the SKUs that we manage and how big and small they are. Some of them are the size of a pen tip, and other ones take up, half of our warehouse, I think. So,
wow. And Todd, what sort of systems inside the business are you operating? What sort of applications do you use to run all of that?
So we have an ERP system, an Epicor Profit 21 ERP system that we've had for probably a little over a decade now. And it's not the cutting edge of technology, but it's steady and it does a good job for us. And one of the challenges that my team and Jen's team by extension has is how do we use that steady traditional distributor ERP system and make it work with modern web tools and modern API interfaces. And we use a product called CloverDX to do a lot of that work, and it gives us the bridge to kind of get between a legacy ERP system and many of the modern applications that we have to deal with.
Well, obviously, this is behind the data with CloverDX, so thank you for mentioning them. And I like that bridge metaphor. It's a useful way of thinking about it. They often talk about pipelines. So, Todd, your job title is a Director of Technology, and very impressively, you've been there 18 years. So that's a good innings. I'm interested to understand or explore perhaps a challenge that you've had to face with data in that time, perhaps a little bit more recently than 18 years ago, and kind of how you what the problem was and how you overcame it.
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind is going back to kind of the 2016 timeframe where we decided that we needed to modernize our website and go from kind of the traditional digital brochure, here's who we are, here's what we're about, to an actual e-commerce website. And as Jen said, we represent over 3 million different products. So here we are, kind of a smaller, at the time I think we were just over 200 employees, so smaller company with limited resources trying to make an e-commerce site for 3 million products is quite a daunting task. And those 3 million products come from over 275, 280 different vendors and all kinds of formats. And so trying to communicate that onto a website so that a customer at either 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning can make an informed buying decision. We were looking at just mountains of dissimilar data and saying, okay, how do we take this and turn it into something that now becomes useful to ourselves and our customers? And so that is about the time that we found Clover and realized that it may be a tool that would allow us to meet our vendors and our customers where they were in their data journey, right? Some of them are very sophisticated and they have RESTful APIs and they can do everything as JSON objects and they can array their data and all kinds of great stuff that makes it very easy and very fast for us to load. Others, as Jen said, are mom and pops and they want to email us a CSV file. And we want to sell their products as much as we want to sell the Fortune 100 companies' products. So we had to come up with a way to, like I said, bridge that gap between an emailed CSV file and a RESTful API. And when we were looking at options to do that and we found Clover, it became very apparent very quickly that this may be a tool that allows us to, meet our partners where they were on their journey and still make use and normalize their data so that we could use it on our website. So, we're not done. It's a never-ending task to continue to update and optimize products for our website, but it's certainly significantly easier than it used to be when we were hand scrubbing Excel files and trying to upload them to databases. So I cringe to think of the way we used to do things compared to the way we do things now, and that we just would not do it at scale the way we do it now.
And presumably the website has to have that data in a consistent structured data format to some sort of back-end database to drive the e-commerce piece. So that's the destination for but you've just got this very heterogeneous, wide range of sources. That must be. What's the most challenging source of data that you have to deal with when you're getting that in from vendors, from suppliers?
I don't know about the most challenging, but the two most critical are the price and the availability or lead time, right? Because if you're trying to make a buying decision, those are the things that you really care about, obviously, and they're the things that change very dynamically, or potentially could change very dynamically, right? The technical specifications, it's a 1/4 inch, or it has 20 SCFM of flow, or it can do 3,000 psi of pressure. Once we have those established, they don't really change. The product is what it is. But on any given day, we may have some in stock. Our vendor may have some in stock. There may be some in transit that we want to represent. Giving our customer, especially over the last few years with all the supply chain issues, giving our customer accurate information about the price and the lead time so that they can plan their production accordingly is critical to us. So getting that information. Some of our vendors update it now on an every hour basis to us. They say,
Wow.
here's the information that we have. So we have direct connections through Clover to our manufacturers' ERP systems from our website that allow us to reflect their inventory in near real time, so that what used to be a phone call through our customer service representative to say, hey, I really need this pump. Can you call the factory and see how many they have and then call me back or send me an email or give me a quote, now turns into the customer, searching that potentially in Google, landing on our website and seeing in real time a price and a quantity that can be delivered, and being able to make a buying decision right there, saving not only them time, but saving us time and not having to do all those steps to help the customer decide if that product was going to make their timeline or not.
And Jennifer, as product data team manager, you've got to be cashing the checks that Todd is writing to all of these vendors. Yes, we can connect to it. Tell me a little bit about the challenges that you face making that a reality.
The biggest challenge is just like we brought before, is all the different formats we can get them in. So we have to start with whatever they have. Sometimes, it could be just a PDF. They're very challenging. Like, again, working with Clover to create, PDF readers has eased that a little bit, where we can take a 30-page catalog and pull out the data that we need and get it in our ERP system, where before we would be paying someone to sit there and actually read a PDF document and hand type everything in, so that we can make sure we had accurate pricing to sell some of the smaller supplier, items that we would have. Other than that, it is just making sure that we have the data. It's not always labeled the way it's supposed to be, and knowing, in this column, this might be the lead time, and this column might be the pricing, and making sure we have accurate descriptions, and those descriptions fit where we need them to fit, because some ERP systems like to limit the size of our fields and how much data we can show. So again, we've developed different areas to store the data in, so that we can show more data on our website and give the customers a paragraph of a description versus just a little 40 character, like, here you go, this might be a valve, it might fit,
Yeah. And can you give me an example of a sort of specific problem that you've had to tackle, perhaps one of the more challenging integrations, for example?
Yeah, so most of it has to do with time. Our one supplier is a very large supplier, and they have almost 1 million parts. And when we would get a price file from them, they would give us all the data we needed. They would have the description and item numbers and everything we need to calculate our pricing. But it was a close to $1 million Excel sheet that we would get from them, and to load it in our ERP system would take 3 to 4 days. That we would have to batch it in different amounts. Otherwise, we didn't have enough memory. We'd be kicking users off the system sometimes because of the memory we'd be doing, or it would freeze up. So
just to parse in the spreadsheet.
Well, we had to take the spreadsheet, put it as a text file, because again, we're limited on the data we could put into our ERP system. It has to be a certain format. So we would have to take that 1 million line text file, like Excel file, and make it into various text files that would process in about a 12 to 16 hour time frame, so we could just keep running them around the clock and getting all the items updated. And like Todd said, we stumbled upon Clover at one point and brought that in to solve some solutions, and that was probably the biggest solution, because now we can manage the 1 million records. I believe it takes us about 3 hours to process through the 1 million records now, and it's a single file that we utilize, like a single graph within Clover that we utilize. We don't have to develop 25, 30 different sub-processes just to get the information in.
So building these sorts of data pipelines, it sounds to me like the big benefit for you is time saving, right?
It's a huge amount. We had a lot of staff who used to do data entry. I mean, that used to be a big job. Everyone was a data entry clerk, and you don't hear so much about them anymore. Yeah. There's a reason for that. But that's what they would do, is they would sit there and just enter data all day long. And there are sometimes we still have to do it, but now we're touching it for things that need that human interaction or that thought behind it, not just take this and put this here, which, no one wants to sit there and spend their days just copy and pasting all day.
Yeah, indeed. My grandparents worked in a bank and writing out ledgers by hand, and I would have thought there's one thing worse than typing data in, it's writing data in. So over the years that you've been sort of solving these problems, what is the biggest learning that you've had, both of you?
For me, it's going to definitely just to try it. Like, I think we've come to the conclusion, Todd kind of brought up earlier, is we can say yes because we know there's a solution. It's just a matter of figuring out what's the best solution path to go down. A lot of times before, you would just say, no, we can't do that, or nope, we can't get that data, or there's no way we can manage that, it's just too large. And now it's like, no, let's do this, we can do it. So I think the biggest thing is just always give it a good try, and and just see if you come out successful on the other end, because most of the time after some trial and error, you will.
I think for me, and this is going to be or sound like an odd answer for a conversation around data, but for me, the thing that I've learned is how amazing our people are. We are an employee-owned company, and Jen talked about all those people that used to be data entry, right? And when we first brought Clover in, we first started automating these processes. A few of those people came to myself and our CEO and said, okay, I know you're going to, automate my job. I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. Could you give me 6 months? Could you let me know so I can start looking for another job? And I can honestly say the majority of the data entry people are still with Airline, and they're in different roles. And it's been amazing to see what they can do for us when they get to use their mind as opposed to just their fingers on a keyboard. And they've been in different roles now. Some of them have gone on to do management. Some of them have gone on to do purchasing, our customer service. We've had some go into outside sales. All of these little talents and hidden abilities that our employee owners had that we just didn't realize because we had them head down at a computer typing away, a needed job, but not a job that was adding value in the way that they're adding value now. So for me, freeing up the time of the people by automating the data processes has led to exponential benefits throughout the rest of our organization, because we free these people up and we've seen their passions and we've seen their abilities come through in all these amazing ways. And so it's interesting for me that a conversation around data has led to the blossoming of people.
I love that. I love that story. And I love that you're an employee-owned company. You could easily imagine a private equity company where we go, yippee, we can fire a bunch of people. And there's a human cost to that. And that's really encouraging.
For us, with that history, it's allowed people to trust us. So they bring us other problems. They bring us other areas where they say, hey, I'm wasting time here. I know I'm doing this. I'm processing. We're working on a project currently to automate the processing of payments for invoices that's currently still being done manually. And they've come to us, and the accounting department's come to us and said, hey, we think this is an opportunity where we could use some of the tools you guys have developed to improve this process, improve the quality, reduce the speed, and we know we can then use our time to do more valuable things. So it's really allowed that trust to develop from the organization, where these ideas come from the grassroots and come up to us. So we don't have to go looking for them anymore. They come to us, almost more than we can handle on a given day. But that trust that's been built has allowed that to continue and then grow exponentially.
We're approaching the end of our time together, but actually I'd like to dive into that upcoming or work in progress challenge of automating the invoice processing. What do you think the biggest data challenge is going to be there?
The biggest one we're dealing with actually now is it's very similar. The banks send us the information in all different formats. So right. We have to get it into, a standardized format so that we can get it into our ERP system. So
and to do invoice payment matching.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. So once again, we're utilizing Clover to go through the data and find the outliers and find the ones that match and, update our ERP system so that the person who was sitting there and clicking boxes can go and do something more productive and that, brings value to the company. Even though this did before, like Todd said, it was a much needed position, but there's so much more that other people can do. So why have them sit there and do that? But yeah, it's a standard that nothing's the same, from one business to the next.
Was it Tolstoy who said all happy families are alike and all unhappy families are different? I don't know, but I'm going to give you a superpower. All right. This is the last question. You can travel back in time and give past Todd and past Jennifer one data-related tip that you've learned. So you're not allowed to give stock tips. It's data-related tips. Yeah. What would you say to your past selves that you've learned that would encourage and help them?
I
Jen?
I would say I'm just trying to think because it's kind of the same. Like it's just seeing how data has evolved. Like since I was hired to just literally work on spreadsheets. That was my first job with Airline was take the price file, get it in, and that was it. And to see where we are now versus then, like all I can kind of just say is just like the stick with it, keep speaking up, you know, sky's the limit type of a thing. Technology is a great thing, and especially in this field. And um, I don't. It's just just keep trying and learn different things. Like don't be afraid to learn. I guess that's probably my biggest thing is don't be afraid to learn. Um,
Yeah.
when something else comes in that don't be afraid of the automation part because we all know a lot of people are afraid of that too. But it's just an exciting time that we're currently in and seeing how the company is growing and what we're doing and you know all the technology that we've brought in just I think what the past 5 years probably even so we've been with Clover for 7 but it's definitely a technical world and it's kind of a fun place to be so don't be afraid of it because I think everyone was afraid of data before.
I think that's a very encouraging sentiment. Todd, can you add to that?
I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure I can beat that. So I'll just I'll pile on a little bit, and I would say the same is don't be afraid. And I think that's really apropos now as AI comes into vogue, right? And there's so much data behind AI, and there's so much buzz around AI, and it's great, but it's also scary. And is the data real, or is there AI hallucinations, and where is this coming from? I think, if I'm giving my past self advice and kind of my current self is, like Jen said, don't be afraid. Like take baby steps, and you can figure it out. We get to say yes to things. We have the tools to say yes to things, so we can take those small bites, and we have tools to verify the data, and we have tools to make sure that what we're seeing, whether it's from a traditional source or from an AI source, is accurate and is correct and is of a high quality. So I think Jen's spot on. Don't be afraid. Say yes, and then see where that journey takes you.
I I love that. I think as we're bringing this conversation to a close, it's just been fascinating to learn about Airline and about your journey with from spreadsheets and manual data entry to this wonderful world of automation. But actually, the human story behind that and the consequences, I'm very happy that we've ended on a positive note. So, Todd, Jennifer, thank you very much for joining me today and for sharing all of that.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
And that brings this episode to a close. If you'd like to learn more and get more practical data insights about CloverDX, please visit cloverdx.com behind the data. And thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.